Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and this will be our chart lesson for Wednesday, March the 4th. And right out of the gate, we had this. This today looks like a spiking channel to me, and I saw this a couple different ways. But there's your first leg up, and so from this low point, I'm looking for a measured leg, and you can see that we've pretty much reached that with this double top. And things really slowed down. It was a nice trend up until right in here, and it really got slow right in here. Um, I was done early today, and I did go ahead and demonstrate a couple of trades. I'll put them on here later um, that I'll show you. But the first one I got real quickly, and the next one I had to wait a while on it, so it took a little longer today. But just had to kind of wait this little correction out right here. Uh, and I saw this spiking channel a couple of different ways, so I'll show you that as well. But you see we basically made a double top right at that target right there. So once again, we've met our target using our target strategies. But I think there's a bigger channel here, a main trend line, a median line right up through here, and then your upper trend line. That fits really well. It looks like a typical spiking channel, but you can't deny this smaller channel right here that was working up through here as well. And it has an upper side, a lower side, and a median line in there as well. So let me just move these out of the way. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Make sure we get it back right. It's one of those days. But let's move this out of the way. This out of the way so you can see this other one a little more clearly. And you can see that channel right there. I really liked working off of that channel right there. And so, but I still believe there's the larger channel that I've already showed you. But either way, you've got a break right here, and you've moved to a new high, and it looks like it's trying to sell off. But let's talk about that real quickly. People are always asking me, once you get a trend line break and a move to a new high, is it okay to sell then? No, you really don't. You could have probably sold this right here, and it probably would work. It may not have. There's actually was a failed second entry short right there. But after that trend line break and the move up, I think it's really risky taking that long right there. And you see so far, it looks like it's going to fail. But now you got two legs back to the EMA. So we may push up for another leg, but I think it's getting risky. But you don't want to sell until you get a confirmed trend line in the other direction. That's how you know to start selling. There's not any reason to be trying to sell this thing yet. There could be a trend line right across there. But you need more price action to confirm that. And that's not a very big channel. It's not very wide. There's not much room in there. So, I wouldn't like selling that anyway unless it just continues to move lower. But that's when you don't want to sell until you get a confirm. You may stop buying, like I didn't buy that failed second entry long there. I marked that. It kind of set up while I was getting the chart ready. But I didn't take that trade. I didn't mark it because I think it's too risky now that you've had the trend line break and a move to a new high. So you're better off to sit tight and wait. So you may stop buying with the trend or selling with the trend if it's working down, but you don't want to start counter trend trading until you get a confirmed trend line in the opposite direction. So let me say that again. Don't try to counter trend trade until you get a confirmed trend in the other direction. So I hope that makes sense. Let's go back and talk about the trades. This was the first setup I saw this morning around a little after 7 o'clock. You were working back, you got the break, and it tried twice really to go lower there, and it bounced right there. I kind of drew that line off those highs. It bounced right there. Plus, you should have had this other trend line on here that I've told you about. We weren't to that, but we hadn't reached the, well, let me show you. Put this midline back on there. It's actually a little close to that midline. But basically what it is, it's a failed second entry short. You got one leg down, and then you try to go lower again. You really tried to go lower here and then here again. And so there's a couple different reasons why I like that. And this is like a trap almost. But the trend is up and you're looking for a target up here. There's actually also another shorter term trend line working up through here. It was the first break of that. But I didn't want to put that on. I didn't want to make this too confusing. So there's several reasons you don't want to go short there regardless. And once you see the trap, then you can go long. And this is one where when it broke higher, you might have wanted to just drop a limit order in there. It wouldn't have got filled. It could have got filled right to the top there, nothing more than that. And that's generally what I'll use the previous closes like that if I'm looking for something like that. So, but that was the first trade I saw. It's not a great setup, but hey, it's a legitimate setup. You want to take it if you're trading at that time of day. Then of course, you need to draw a trend line off those two swings right there just to make sure and see what happens. And of course, then you get these bounces. I wasn't too convinced that it was going to hold at first, but there's a failed second entry short. Notice this new low, first entry short, pull back second entry short. It fails. It is a little bit of overlap there, but because of that trap and the trend is up, and we're looking for at least a retest and probably a measured move that I showed you early. I think that's a good trade worth going long there. And you can see it breaks out and it trapped everybody and breaks out and it takes off. And you don't want to take a first entry way up here to new high because now you got a new high in place. There's a second entry here, but let's get this back out of the way. It's a little bit risky because it's right at the high. There's not room to scalp out. But there's a little failed second entry short there. Notice this new high, first entry short, pull back, second entry short, or actually the first entry short's right there, pull back second entry short because you're counting the opposite way off the other side. And so there's a little bit of a second entry short where you might have been expecting people are going to be trying to pick tops and stuff. And if you did take this one, because it's not a very strong signal bar there, you can see. You want to use a limit order here, and if you did, it would have worked. If you used a stop, I don't think it worked. 67.25, and it went to 68, so it's a 4-tick failure. It's real aggressive, but aggressive traders probably going to drop a limit order in there and try to catch that, especially if you're seeing the smaller channel. It's two tests of that median line, so the problem is there's not hardly any room to get out before the top or the trend line, and it just turns down right off that upper trend line. And you can see that. And at the time, I actually had this a little bit higher right off those closes, so it didn't quite get there. So it would have looked like you had enough room too there. So, but anyway, if you want to trade aggressive, that's one you might have taken. But again, you would have wanted to use a limit order because that didn't break out on the same bar. It kind of looks like two dojis stacking up, and it's starting to look a little bit like congestion. So, and then of course you get the sell-off. Then people are picking tops and they start selling, and guess what? They just get trapped. And this is a breakout pullback long. But if you're watching this trend line, that's a perfect bounce. And what I did, what you wanted to do was wait. Even though this didn't go lower, those matching highs, this is like a second entry long. It's like another test. You tested that trend line 1, 2, 3, 4 times, and then it takes off again. Most people weren't probably sure about this line. They were like me. It looks valid, but I'm just not quite sure. But you see once it broke above there, easy scalp. And then it pulls back and gives you the second entry long, which is really the safer play. You get just enough for a scalp. Then it pulls back and you get a failed second entry. Let me move all these out of the way here. Then you get a failed second entry short right here, so I liked going long right there. Took it a little while to work on up, but it actually pulled back once again, so you could add on there or join in right there, and that's like a second entry long coming off the low. And again, another easy scalp. Didn't get much more. Even though this doesn't look like a very strong trend, it is, because when you see little small bars and lots of dojis stacking up and they just keep going higher, that's really a fairly strong trend. You just have to let it play out and, try to find a place to enter. But just try to be patient. Don't do like I did yesterday and try to get impatient and jump in too early or whatever. Try and be patient. It helps. I keep grabbing that at the wrong spot. Um, and then we made this high here and we didn't get back up there to the upper side. And we just kind of started stacking up here. There was a second entry long right here. I didn't like it because it's all stacked up. We're not quite back to this little trend line, and then suddenly we get a break. But notice this leg down, a double top, and then you get a measured leg down here. So let me just show you the arrows on it so it's a little easier to see for people that are not used to this. There's your leg one, and then there's leg two, and it closed. The closes didn't go any lower, but it shot a little bit lower, and that's like a little trading range right there. So that's like a little failed break lower. There's two legs back, so it's a little bit aggressive to enter here, but notice the break of this trend line, the correction back to a new low, and then it's working higher again. So aggressive traders are going to go long right there. You might use a limit order, whatever. It would have got filled back a couple of ticks. But then you get a second entry long right here, and that's where I took my second trade on my little demonstrations, and that was the better, the smarter entry and the best move. So, and then that's, again, there was a failed second entry short there, but I didn't like it because we've had the trend line break. We've made a new low, a couple of legs up. So you need a trap or something before you want to go long here again. I mean, things have really slowed down. Prices were steadily moving higher until we reached that measured move here at about 943. And you see, we didn't hardly do anything for over an hour before it moved up, and then it didn't go very far, and it's kind of back into another little range here. So you got to be really careful about looking for longs, but you don't want to go short either until you get a confirmed trend or some kind of really nice trap. There was a failed second entry long there, but again, I don't think you want a counter trend trade without a confirmed trend to the downside. So So I hope that makes sense, and I hope that's clear because I get that question a lot. People are like, well, when do you know to go? If the trend's up and you get a trend line break or you think you see one, how do you know when to go short? Well, you don't until you get a confirmed trend in the other direction. But the reading this right and seeing the break of the trend line first is critical. The break, and usually you're going to get a move to a new high or a new low. The retest, as we call it, but not always. Sometimes you don't see a retest. But let me put these trades on here and just show you. When I have time, I'm going to try to take 2 trades each day just to show you that you can take 2 trades, and if you're patient. And notice I took the first trade right here on that little failed. It's basically off that failed second entry short. But we ticked back again. There was a little double, you can't see it again. Let me back this out here. There's a little double top there. But notice got a first entry, a second entry, and you should have gone long right there, but when it made the little double top, I just went ahead and jumped in at the same place again on this bar here when it started higher. I was a little bit hesitant to take it at first, but it's a good setup. And then you get another chance to enter right here when it pulled back again and made that little tick lower and then went higher again. Easy scalp. You had room to play with that and buy a few more ticks. And then I had to wait on this one. There was a second entry long there. I didn't like it. Too much stacked up, and you see it wouldn't have worked, and then it backs up. So I was waiting. I really wanted to see prices come off of this trend line right here. And I did have my buy stop right there. I would have gone long if we would have broke above it, and we couldn't, and it turns down. And then I didn't like going long above this bar. If we'd have broke above that one, I would have gone long. It still didn't happen, so it kept going lower. And by the time this one set up, I didn't like it because it was a doji. It wasn't any. It's not rejection of prices. It's like acceptance of prices. But for the reasons I showed you earlier, you got 2 legs back. You got another little 2 legs there within this leg. It's a second entry long. There's a failed break below all those matching lows. There's enough reasons an aggressive trader is probably going to go long there, but I waited on the second entry, uh, and you see it happened right there. And when it broke up, I just dropped a limit order, so I got in a tick early. I didn't need it. You see where I exited on my 4 ticks. I could have got another 4 out of that, but nice trade. And so there's your 2 trades, 2 contracts, so made $200 today. And you can do this almost every day. And again, that's starting at somewhere around 9:30 and being done by 11:20. So 2 hours, 2 hours make $200. It's $100 an hour, less your commission. It's not, it's not bad. And if people will approach it like that, and I get the question a lot too. Well, if you can trade 2 trades every day and make $200, why not just trade 100 or 200 contracts? Unfortunately, it doesn't work that easy. Whenever you start there's 2 pieces to learning to trade. First of all, you have to learn a strategy that works. And there's not another better strategy than learning to read the chart. It's the ultimate, in my opinion, it's the only way you're ever going to make money. I believe that people that are consistently profitable, even if they don't call it price action trading, they've learned to read the chart. They have a good understanding of prices. They know what's going on as prices are printing to the chart, and they may use some tools that 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 they've learned to use that help them. I think you can learn to see everything you need in the price action, and you don't need those tools. But anyway, the first step is you have to learn a strategy that works. And we've got one here. The steps are all here. There's a road map, a treasure map, whatever you want to call it, and you got to learn to follow it to get to the treasure. And it's there. But that's step one. But then step two is then getting on live and being able to. But if you can't do it on the simulator, then you can never do it live. So you got to prove you can do it on the simulator first, and then you got to go live. But it's still going to be a little more difficult because it's the mental aspect of being your real money, of trading. You still have to get over those mental hurdles of trading with your money where you don't make mental errors like I did yesterday. And once you make one mental error, it tends to mess with you and you'll make more mental errors. And I walked you through all that yesterday, what I was thinking and how I made mental errors and so forth. And I tried to be a little more conservative today and not make those mental errors. And you see, I made 2 trades. I got my money. I'm done now. I'm not going to go back in and try to take another trade because the rules say when you hit your target, stop. And you should do that. And if I'd done that yesterday, I wouldn't have had a losing trade. So, and I wouldn't have had to take more trades and take on more risk to try to get it back or whatever. So, but there's 2 steps. First, you got to learn to trade. And then secondly, you've got to work through all the mental issues that are going to happen to anybody when they go live. Now, you'll hear people tell you, oh, it's so much easier to trade on the simulator than it is to trade live. And that's probably true in the beginning for most people because they do have to work through those mental issues that you don't necessarily have when you're trading on the simulator. But to be honest, for me, I do better live than I do on the simulator because I guess because I've worked through most of those mental issues, and when I'm trading with my real money, I'm watching my P's and Q's, and I'm doing everything by the book. But when I get on sim, I tend to be more aggressive because I know it's not real money. So I have just the opposite problem. I tend to do better trading live than I do trading on the sim. Um, So it's not always easier to trade on the sim than it is to trade live. The first step, though, is you got to learn to trade. And most people are trading live thinking, they read a book or they read a manual and they think they got it. They get on here and they start trading live and they're eaten alive by people that are so far ahead of them. Um, it's like a first grader going up against somebody in college. It really is that difficult because you're that far behind and you don't understand that and you don't realize it. So I like to tell people I don't want to sugarcoat this. It's not easy. It can be learned, but it takes time and it takes a lot of hard work and a lot of study. And again, trading, in my opinion, does not make you better. It's not trading that you can trade forever and not get any better. What makes you better is trading and then waiting till just go in there every day on the simulator and trade and try to do the best you can following the rules. And where the real work comes is at the end of your trading day, going back and spending just as much time studying your work as you did actually trading. That's where the real work begins, and that's where the improvements are made. And I tell people that over and over and over, but people don't tend to get that. And, I traded for a long, long time and never got any better. But when I started studying, and that's part of the reason why I do this review every day, because it makes me go back and study my chart. And I still get better every day because I still put in that study time. I can do it in a lot. I can study this chart in 15 or 20 minutes now, where I used to spend hours on it at the end of every day. But the more you study it and the more you start to understand what's really going on, the easier it will get. So I can't emphasize enough about study time. So, and you don't have to take a dozen trades. You can, pick out whatever your goal is, but do understand that you can't just jump out there and start. If you can do it with 2 contracts every day, as you add on, each time you add on more contracts, it gets exponentially more difficult. It's the mental thing again. You might be able to go from 2 to 3 or 4 and not have much change, but if you try to go from 2 to 5 or 6, it's going to be that much harder. At least it is for most people. There may be rare, instances where somebody can jump up there and start trading 100 or 200 contracts. But, if it was that easy, trust me, I would trade 100 contracts and take 1 or 2 trades every day, and that's all I would do. But it's not easy to do. If you think it's mentally tough trading 1 or 2 contracts, wait till when you got 50 contracts on, we talked about this the other day, each tick is worth $625, so a point is worth $2,500. So if you take a full stop using our rules on just 50 contracts, well, you've taken a $5,000 hit. How many people can do that and come back and then what happens once you have a loser is in the next trade you see it set up and you start questioning yourself, or you start trying to rush to get it back and you start taking entries without really thinking about it and going through the process and following the rules properly. So there's a lot of mental pieces to this puzzle. And so just learning to trade, but you got to start on a simulator. And I know people say that's boring and they don't want to do it. But if you don't, you're just going to give your money to somebody else. You're just going to donate it. It's just going to go from your account to my account or somebody else's account that knows what they're doing and is better prepared than you are. So, I remember how eager I was to give my money away too. So, but I didn't have anybody really telling me any different. I'm telling you different through experience. If you jump out there and trade and you're not ready, you're going to give your money to me or somebody like me that's more experienced than you. It's the law of the trading. So anyway, that's enough today. I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to get out of here early today. It's lunchtime right now, so I'm going to go have lunch and enjoy the rest of my afternoon. I'm pretty much caught up on emails except for what's come in today. So if you don't get an answer from me today, it's probably because I took the afternoon off. But that's why I got into this business and wanted to do this. And I mean, now I'm able to make my money and then come in here and show you can take 2 trades anytime before lunch and probably make money and still get done by lunch on a lot of days. I didn't do that yesterday, unfortunately, but because I really could have. I really could have had this video done by 11 o'clock yesterday. And I thought I wasn't thinking. I saw a great setup, and before I knew what I did, I was in a bad trade. And I should have stopped. I had my 2 trades that, once you reach your target, you're better off to stop in most cases, unless you have a runaway trend that just keeps going up, 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 up. And even then, those will end abruptly. So You got to be careful. But I'm going to wrap it up and go enjoy my day. I hope you had a good trading day. We'll be back to do it tomorrow. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.